Hello and welcome back to this DMXDesktop introduction video for version 1.0.48. This is going to be quite a big update. There's a lot of changes that have gone into this version, and we're going to try to go through them step by step and show you what you can achieve with this new functionalities. So some of the biggest changes have happened over here in DJ mode. So we're going to start there. We've done quite a lot here, starting off with a complete change and overhaul to the show building engine and the waveform analysis. So now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, we've removed the 10 or 12 minute limit for track length. You can now actually use up to 3 hours, and there's no let me clear my cache just to be sure that it's all good. There we go. There's no restriction beyond that 3 hour limit now. So if you want to load a full, well, in this case, I'm just dropping a 30-minute track, and as you'll see, it's loading fine. It's also background loading now. So we've removed the UI blocker that was showing the status. Now you can see the status is happening on the background of the deck. Of course, because the song is loaded, it can play immediately. It doesn't have to wait for the show, but the show won't obviously play until it's been built. And you can see the status of that in the background here. I'm running this in demo, so it's a little bit slower, but when you've got it in the normal app, it'll be a bit quicker than this. And we've also, as you probably noticed, sped up quite a bit the waveform analysis and the key and BPM detection. So if I will drop a normal track, let's just pick something fairly normal, onto the other deck, you'll see the analysis is obviously substantially quicker. And there you go, it's done. That was the waveform and the show in barely 1 or 2 seconds. So that's a big change that's gone in there. And that obviously is going to help you a lot if you've got those longer tracks you want to be able to simply just play back. Now, of course, those limits didn't exist if you were using Virtual DJ or Tractor, because those limits just didn't apply. However, if you are using Virtual DJ or Tractor, again, that blocking interface showing the large track loading is gone. Instead, on the deck states, you will see the status in the slot where the waveform is. So it'll show you that it's loading the waveform, then loading the DMX show. So you can still see that status from this screen. I can obviously demonstrate that if I load a track. It looks exactly the same as it does when you are using the built-in player. Just need to find a long mix. There we go. That one will do. And now you can see that it's also showing that background status on the deck states. So you've got that there, and you've also got it on the player when you're actually using the player. And of course, once everything's loaded, the waveform will zip into place. Now, continuing with DJ mode, there's some more changes in here we need to go through. So probably most of you are already familiar with the show options that allow you to specify certain things which are quite global for all of the songs that you may be loading. For example, override the color theme, set up the group variety, whether you want them to be matching, diverse, or completely random, strobe frequencies, drop triggers, which we introduced in the previous version, your gobo prism timers, and of course group overrides if you want to specifically adjust a specific group. Now, on top of that, what we've added in this version is track overrides. So now you can actually go in and go to the tracks, and once that song has been loaded once, you can then click on the overrides, and you can specifically override just that track, or you can reset it like I just done there, so it will fall back to your global options in the show options. So that means now that if you've got a specific track and you want that track, for example, always to be red-blue, you can now do that, and that will happen. And you can do that per every track. Now, we've also modified it so that if you do clear your cache, the overrides are not deleted. They're sticky. They'll come back. In the next version, when we update, you'll also get the option to, as I'll demonstrate here, a per track delete, where you can actually specify what you want to clear, just the waveforms and the shows, or any manual shows, cue points, and track overrides. So there are more ways of clearing things up. And that brings us on nicely to the next point of what's been added in this version, the cue points. So if you think at the moment, you've got a lot of options, including the drop triggers, which you can enable, and that's based on the automatic analysis of where it's found troughs and peaks, or drops in and drops out. As you may think, obviously this is a long DJ track, so there is a lot of drops on there. Whereas on this song, which clearly has one drop in, there is a slight drop there, and then a drop at the end has much less. But that's not going to block you from being able to do your own thing. So because now you can obviously use the cue points. So in this case, I can click on the cue points and I can see the actual waveform, and I can then zoom in and out. I'm just using my control on my scroll, holding the control key, using the scroll wheel to zoom, and then I can use the scroll wheel without the control key to slide. So if I wanted, for example, for this song to start from this position, and I wanted it to be in red, then I could say I want everything to have a red override, and that's going to run for, let's say, 2 seconds, or however long it is. I'm not sure. Up to this point would be 16 seconds. So I could now click back on that one and say I want it for 16 seconds. And that's going to get all the way up to there where it's going to be in red. I can click done. There we go. Now I've obviously got this second cue point here, which I dropped earlier, which I can change that to be whatever I like. It could be a blinder for half a second, could be a strobe, whatever you want. And you can basically drop these wherever you like. So, and of course I can delete that one. So if you click, it'll show you what time you're in the track. And it also shows you how many cue points have been dropped. Scroll along, and then I can obviously drop another cue point at any point I like by double clicking. And then I could say at this point in time, I might want a fog to go off for 1 second, for example, or 1.5 seconds. Save that. And now you'll be able to see from the deck state that there are cue points active for this song. You can get back in and view them. And they are applied near real time. So as the song plays through, those cue points get triggered, and your defined actions will be fired. So you've got a few options in there at the moment. The usual suspects, as we might say. You can do a blinder, blackout, fog, strobe, freeze, or special effect or color override. So you can choose any one of the special effects, and obviously you can choose color overrides. The real-time color overrides, as usual, are limited to solid colors. So that's the standard approach here as well. But you can do that per track. Again, if you clear the cache, they will come back until you go in and clear all the cue points. Then that will clear them off the system, and they will be gone. So you can see they're all gone now. And eventually, when you reload this page, the icon will clear. There you go. Same with the overrides. You can reset them all. That will clear them. Or but again, they don't get deleted if you clear the cache unless you specify to delete them. So they will persist. And so that gives you a whole world of different little optimizations you can do for specific songs if you want to make the effort to put a few little bits and bobs in there to be able to emphasize certain key tracks, or if you're running a show where you want certain things to happen consistently at a certain time, you can do that with the cue points and obviously with the combination of the track overrides. So now we're going to move on to a few of the other main changes that came in version 1.0.48. Of course, there's lots of little fixes and things, but these are the key ones. So one of the first things we did is we added a MIDI quick panel. So if you press Control M, you can actually get a quick menu come up, so you can change your available MIDI device and connect and enable the clock and so on. That's available from anywhere. So if we jump over to non-DJ mode, that's available here, the same as the or the Control A for the audio controls. That's now available. And also, we've updated some of the MIDI functionality, especially the network MIDI. We've added some improvements to the network MIDI journaling so that it's more robust. So that should be more reliable as well, especially when working with Apple devices, which tend to make big use of the journaling feature. And the next main thing that we've added is the Live Edits Conflicts tab. So what does this show you? So if you create live edits that are touching the same channels on the same universe and same channels, then what happens if you activate multiple live edits? It works in a phase of last man wins. So the last one applied will take charge. It doesn't care about whether it's the lowest value, the highest value. It's all about which sequence you enable the live edits. And once you've recorded those live edits, it can be quite difficult to remember what's in all of them. So we've added the conflicts tab. And what this is showing me is that I've obviously got a lot of very silly named live edits here from testing, but I think the point is clear that some of these live edits, which is basically the same one that's been duplicated, clearly have lots and lots of overlap on which channels they're enabling and disabling. And I can open that up and see what channels the first one is impacting that are duplicated on the next. If I come down here, we can see that there's no channels which are binary, but there are channels that are being set to different values. So you can see how there's a live edit called Silence and one called Test Apple, which are touching exactly the same channels. One is trying to set them to 180 something, the other to 125. So depending on which order you apply them, depends which one is going to actually win. Again, the higher, the last man wins. And that's pretty much what this is showing you. I haven't got any that are setting it at the same value in this view. Maybe on the next page. Nope. I've got that many. I've got 2 pages. And this really is just to help you understand if you're seeing a problem with your live edits and you're not sure why, then you might be able to dig into the conflict editor and see, okay, this live edit and this live edit are both doing the same thing or modifying the same channels, and I didn't want that. So then you know that you can go in and edit that live edit and disable that. So as I say, it's setting this megahex parter value to 142 on this test Apple. So I can go back to this live edit test Apple. I can edit that, and I think, my megahex parser here, and I can see these values that it's setting. So I could obviously remove them if I wanted and save, and then that would reduce the conflicts, not entirely because there was multiple fixtures in there, but so a lot of that's there. So that's really what it's about. It's about you being able to see where you've got overlapping live edits and what they're doing, so that you can try and figure out if you've made a mistake and you can't work out why one is impacting the other. Should be helpful. Obviously, the more you have, the more chance of overlap. But if you've organized them well, then there might be none. So it's just really a way of showing you where you might have conflicts. It doesn't mean that you don't expect those conflicts, because you may well have done it on purpose. You may not use those live edits at the same time. You may be fully aware of what you're doing, or maybe you've added a channel you didn't realize, and it will help you to identify that. So that's the point of the conflicts editor. Hopefully you'll find it useful. And that pretty much wraps up what we're going to include in this video. Of course, the changes for the cue points and the track overrides have also been added to the native mobile app, which has already been updated in both app stores. So if you update that app, you'll get those already downloaded into the mobile app. And in the next video, we're going to do a dedicated session on the biggest update that came in 48, which is the programmer. So we will see you there. Thanks.